Hey traders, checking in on the stock market today. Bulls showed up again with QQQ hitting a new all-time high, but after hours we have bearish reactions to Apple and Amazon earnings, which give us some interesting setups into the end of the week tomorrow. Let's check them out. So the S&P 500 futures chart here, daily bull flag attempt, but we double topped at the all-time high, and we are dropping after hours in response to Apple and Amazon earnings. But it's worth noting that while QQQ is dropping after hours, XLF is slightly up, IWM is slightly up, so SPY is not down as much. It's not like everything is dropping. Some things are going up, some things are going down. So in the S&P 500, we have plenty of space for an hourly higher low to try and form. It's actually not plenty of space, but we are forming an hourly higher low at the moment. And again, it's a double top that we're going to have to keep a close eye on. At this point, it's very simple to say that if the bears are going to prove anything to us, we would have to double top here and then lose that daily higher low that we just set. And on SPY, that would mean we would need to break 453.86. That's our little daily higher low, as the bull flag attempt is initially rejecting. So those are the two levels that we care about in the short term. Over the next couple trading days, we're either going to break all-time highs or we're going to lose that daily higher low and shape up for weekly consolidation. So that's what we're watching in the short term. I'm also watching the NASDAQ futures chart. This is the 4-hour time frame. And right on cue on this reaction, we are rejecting from resistance and at the moment, bouncing off support. That's a beautiful 4-hour rising wedge. Just make note that rising wedges in bull markets often break bullish. So as I did the video on our YouTube channel about wedges, they are highest probability when the longer term time frame dictates, in this instance, a bear lower high. So if this were a daily time frame, now a bad example, if this were a 5-minute time frame and we're looking for a 4-hour lower high from somewhere up here, we would be having some pretty high conviction in this pattern breaking bear and giving us a 4-hour lower high. But again, up at all-time highs here, there's nothing that we're setting a lower high against, which is why they often break bull. But we'll be watching this one in case it breaks bear. They do break bear sometimes as well. It's just less probability, less of a confident pattern. So QQQ tomorrow would need to break 381.15, the low of today, and that's being tested right now after hours. You can see there's not a whole lot of liquidity, but we're down near the low of the day. That being said, if we break the low of the day, that just means we scout a daily higher low compared to 372.39. But if QQQ does start daily consolidation, that means SPY will likely double top, at least initially, at this all-time high. And we started this morning by saying if the NASDAQ futures chart is not going to lose the 4-hour uptrend, and if QQQ is not going to lose the hourly uptrend, then SPY is not going to consolidate much at all. So essentially, we would have to see a break of the low of today, tomorrow on QQQ, for SPY to double top at the all-time high. XLF is a daily inside bar. We got a wide range. We dumped yesterday, a significant bounce today. We're up a few pennies here after hours. Actually, we're up 12 pennies. Not bad. But we haven't changed the hourly trend bull yet. We essentially just dumped all day yesterday, bounced all day today, and I would still consider anything under 40.68 an hourly lower high. And if we were to reject from that level tomorrow, we would have a wide hourly tightening range to trade within. But at this point, it's a potential daily bull flag. This is very limited pullback. Again, the previous examples have all seen a lot more follow through, and it's possible we still follow through with the loss of the higher low everyday pattern, leading to multiple days of pullback. But if we have a green day tomorrow and break this inside bar bull, then we'll say this time is different than the other times that saw notable pullbacks. XLV is still strong. There were a lot of red flags yesterday. XLV wasn't necessarily one of them. It was a clear red candle. IWM was the biggest red flag that we'll look at, but bulls significantly showed up to save things today. So XLV, higher high hit on its bounce, higher low every day, only the last 3 days, but no real consolidation since 126.55. So just keeping this march up and preventing from a weekly lower high being set yet. IWM, this is an extremely impressive recovery. And both XBI and IWM were on the verge of rolling over into more notable consolidation. And after a close at the low of the day 2 days in a row on increasing bear volume, bulls very quickly recovering with a V-shaped bounce. Again, we haven't confirmed an hourly trend change yet. The bulls will still have to do that, but we're staying within striking distance of the all-time highs here. And as far as the weekly chart, yes, weekly consolidation technically started, but only by 23 cents. And if we look at it on the 2-day perspective, condense things down a little bit, bulls keeping control, fighting to keep control here, and pretty much today was exactly what they would have to do to eliminate that big drop yesterday. So XBI, bulls are doing a great job with defense. They have not been able to do anything on offense, but today looks different. Why does today look different? Volume, massive bull volume, strong close. Look at all the other closes on these bounce attempts. Upper wicks everywhere. Not closing up at the high of the day. So, triple bottom down at 121. If the bulls can get over 126.25 and 128.28, it's going to be a notable shift in the short term. Our weekly high or low will clearly be set, and we'll then be watching for this tightening range to potentially continue, but it will certainly be a short-term victory for the bulls, who have been struggling notably. Just an all-out bull move. Didn't even change the hourly trend, just V-shape. So we'll look for an hourly high or low to form next time we consolidate. Still daily resistance, still proving to do. Certainly they've done the proving on defense, have to do it on offense now. Let's check in on our earnings reactions. Apple. So big drop down, 147 at the moment. And that doesn't really mean anything. Why? Because I would be expecting a weekly low or high here. And anything above 138 is a weekly high or low. And 147 would put us right about here. So I like this as far as a weekly tightening range shaping up. And now we're going to look for a weekly high or low. As far as Amazon's earning reaction, down at 32.84, we had a weekly tightening range here. 32.84, bear break there. It all depends on where we open. But we are now looking down at 32.36. 31.75 is the most important level. So attempting a bull break today, but we knew earnings were going to dictate whether it would be a bull break or a bear break. And we're going to be testing support tomorrow. A couple plays to check back in on. ARCB, remember we looked at this one. This is the shipping play that when I posted the Twitter handle for Craig Fuller, former Chart Guys members, who is my go-to for shipping, this is the name that stood out to me. And we had a beautiful mini daily cup and handle, inability to break resistance into a bull flag. That confirmed. And the reason I was watching it was the weekly cup and handle. And earnings are tomorrow, and earnings are going to dictate whether this breaks out or not. We did break out, we broke both levels, but we need a bullish earnings reaction for convincing new all-time highs. And again, where's the last time we saw a daily cup and handle that made up the handle of a weekly cup and handle? And this is a fairly rare pattern, having just one of them. So having them inlaid, it's essentially a mother pattern and a baby pattern. And the last time this happened was natural gas. And we did get notable breakout follow through. And I just said earnings are tomorrow, and that's incorrect. Earnings are first thing next week. So earnings are going to dictate whether these cup and handles get follow through on a bullish reaction or negate on a bearish reaction. And I have a bit of a swing position from when I brought it up initially, I think from 85s or so is where I got in. And I will probably do a little bit of gambling as far as holding through earnings, just because I like the setup here. I like the risk and reward. I have a little bit of profit cushion to work with. So we'll give it a run. MNMD, psychedelic space. Again, cannot stress enough to familiarize yourself with this sector. Just because I can, with 95% confidence, I think I said 98% recently, we'll stick with it. With 98% confidence, this sector will run to all-time highs. There will be euphoria on social media. It'll be pumped on Reddit. It'll be pumped with all these Twitter pumpers. I have no idea when, but I know that it is very likely to happen because it's a sexy story. The story's already there. There's a slow shift in the tide as far as our legal landscape. We know that can take forever just by looking at cannabis stocks, but trials and the world opening up more to the possibility with the medicinal clinical benefits of these chemicals, and again, it's a sexy story, bottom line. And the generation that loves pumping things on Reddit and Twitter really likes this story. So MNMD, we've seen these names, they've already pumped. You know, we ran 1,000% already in this name. But after the 1,000% run, we've now been pulling back for 6 months. And the way I'm viewing this is our low, high, and we're trying for this monthly higher low to form. And we're holding it at this point, but we need a lot more bull follow through. So today, bull volume showed up out of nowhere, and there's no news associated with this. And it doesn't take a whole lot of volume to do this. You know, this was something like $7 million to get this to pump. And yeah, as an individual, that sounds like a lot of money, but you know, you can get a room full of 3 traders and put that together. So end of the day, with an equilibrium, but these beat up sectors, both cannabis and the psychedelic space, it's the volume that gets my attention. So I did jump in on the pump today. I sold half. I've got a position with a break even maybe of 245. I made an attempt earlier in the week that I stopped out of for a small loss. So I'll keep trying for entries with small risk amounts for the potential of catching a longer term cycle bottom, which in my opinion will absolutely be forming eventually. And there's some catalysts coming down the headline coming down the pipeline as far as we're waiting on some trial results. CMPS has been leading the way. This is another reason why I'm interested in this sector. We hit a fresh low on CMPS after consolidating. Again, we already had a hype run here. We went 300%. We've been consolidating for 8-9 months, and we went from a fresh low straight into a big time move here, where we've gone now close to 50%, minimal daily consolidation, bull volume pouring in, and this is related to news as far as getting some clinical results, and I forget what else was in there. There was a headline that, you know, Boris in the UK may be looking to legalize psilocybin for medicinal purposes. But at this point, it's a stair-step pattern, and bulls will be looking to buy a daily high or low. But again, this breakout, and I was saying back here, like this looks like it's going to be the bottom, and now that we're up here, looks a lot more convincing that our bottom has been set. We will need a weekly trend change eventually, but essentially a falling wedge here, which is what so many cannabis names are looking to and hoping. So this is another name in the sector to be watching. ATAI is another one. Grabbed a little position here, and I used, just checking my previous drawing, but I used this as a potential daily high or low. 1350, made an entry at 1420, put my stop under 1350. If I'm right, we confirm a daily trend change. I have a great entry. If I'm wrong, it's an acceptable loss, and we look back down towards the all-time low. Not a lot of history on this stock. That's why I say, you know, something like this, when it gets hype and attention and momentum and volume, it is very easy for it to move quickly. The volume that we're seeing here on average is $4 million. So again, if you get even just, you know, one headline or one bit of attention, it's very easy to put together double-digit millions of dollars as a collective group jumping on a name at once. Keep an eye on this sector. Other than that, checking in on cannabis, they're still extremely weak. Bulls are nowhere to be found. We're testing recent lows. We can maybe get a bounce off of those recent lows as opposed to just dropping to fresh lows. Looks like CGC hit fresh lows today. So still nothing in the cannabis space bears an absolute complete control at this point in time. The psychedelic space is holding on better than the cannabis space. Curious to see how they trade relative to each other from here on out. One more here, DWAC. So we were looking for a 50% bounce once the daily high or low has been set. 52 to 77 fits the bill. Now I'm watching the 4-hour time frame. We know we're scouting a lower high. Anything under 96 is a 4-hour lower high, or you could call it, we're just looking for a daily lower high, but I'm scouting a top. So what does that mean? It means keep an eye out for bearish patterns. So I see a potential rising wedge pattern. I see bull breaks lacking much follow through. And this is a 15-minute rising wedge. This is developing for a couple days. If we drop down and break $70 and $69.50 tomorrow, this pattern will be breaking bear. Our 4-hour lower high will be set, and we'll see if the bulls can form a higher low compared to 52.77. So again, it doesn't look like much bounce. And if you're in this name, you might be thinking, okay, let's get further, let's go up to 100. But just keep in mind, we just bounced 50% in the span of a few hours of trading. So we can't be greedy when we're talking those kinds of numbers. I didn't do much trading today, aside from grabbing a little MNMD, but not holding my breath there. Again, it's got to be sector wide. I don't want to see an individual name pump. I want to see the sector getting attention, because that's how you stir the buzz as far as getting articles and Twitter mentions and Reddit talking about it and CNBC talking about it. That's when you start building volume that can potentially mark a shift in a cycle. All right. I hope you're well. Don't forget to do good things, and I hope you have a great weekend.